For the first time in 36 years, the Washington Post will not endorse a presidential candidate this election.
Jeff Bezos is losing money. Hundreds of Americans are unsubscribing from the Washington Post, and the editor-at-large of the paper even resigned. Why? Well, keep watching. On October 25th, 2024, the Washington Post announced that it would not endorse a candidate in the upcoming U.S. presidential elections. I know you are wondering, why is that such a big deal? Well, this is because the decision marks the first time in almost 4 decades that the Washington Post would not be endorsing a candidate. Pretty big, right? Well, it gets way more serious than that. If you didn't know, Amazon founder and billionaire Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. He bought it in 2013 for a whopping $250 million when the paper faced financial difficulties. But it looks like those difficulties are returning faster than ever expected. For 36 years, the Washington Post has been endorsing candidates for presidential elections. So, deciding to stay on the sidelines for one of the most controversial and polarizing elections in U.S. history may be having more of a domino effect than they had planned. What's more controversial is that all of the candidates endorsed by the Post for the last 4 decades have all been Democrats. This time around, Vice President Kamala Harris is representing the Democratic Party, while former President Donald Trump is representing the Republicans. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris have been locked in a too-close-to-call race for the post of president, including them being neck and neck in the 7 swing states. But let's quickly circle back to what announcement the Washington Post made. CEO and publisher William Lewis explained the reason for their decision on the 25th of October. He said, "We recognize that this will be read in a range of ways, including as an abdication of responsibility. We don't see it that way. We see it as consistent with the values the Post has always stood for, a statement in support of our readers' ability to make up their own minds." So the Post is claiming that the reason for this decision is because they want to remain an independent newspaper without influencing their readers to pick a candidate. The Washington Post isn't the only major newspaper choosing the sidelines for the upcoming elections. Their decision came after the Los Angeles Times publisher blocked a planned endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris. In what could only be seen as suspicious timing, the billionaire owner of the LA Times, Patrick Soon-Shiong, blocked the planned endorsement that the paper was supposed to put out for Kamala Harris. Things are not going great for the two billionaires at all. Although they seem to have given different reasons for why they aren't endorsing any candidate, the public and their employees are angry at them anyway. What makes things even more suspicious is that the roles of these two against the Democrats are now being questioned. Many questioned the role that Bezos had to play in this cancellation of any endorsement. Readers of the Post, employees, and the general public have alleged that and accused Jeff Bezos of deciding for his gain. And to be honest, I feel like these allegations are valid. Jeff Bezos owns Blue Origin, a spacecraft company with a huge contract with the U.S. government. Here's where it gets sneaky. On the announcement, Blue Origin CEO David Limp met with Trump in a decision-making meeting between the company and Trump himself. Blue Origin is not the only company owned by Bezos that has major contracts with the U.S. government. So everyone is asking, did Bezos cancel the endorsement because he doesn't want to harm the chances of his business doing better in case Trump wins? Why does it feel like he's switching sides when he publicly praised Kamala and President Biden when they were elected 4 years ago? Is he staking his bets towards a higher gain? And from the public sentiment, people have tried to provide their answers to it. The biggest hit that the Washington Post has taken so far is the loss of 10% of its subscribers. In just 4 days, more than 250,000 subscribers have canceled their subscriptions because the Post canceled their endorsement. It goes without saying that the endorsement from the Post should have gone to Vice President Kamala Harris. I mean, think about it. For 36 years, only Democrats have been endorsed by the paper. Bezos himself also endorsed Biden and Harris. Why would that change? Employees are not keeping quiet either because their bold moves of showing that they do not support this decision are taking the American public by storm. These are still employees who are angry, and they're making it known in the paper itself. The article was written by 2 staff reporters, and this is where things get worse. When the Post came out and announced their decision not to endorse a candidate, you would assume that the decision had been weeks in the making. Except that's not true. You also remember that CEO William Lewis said that they did this for the readers. Maybe not true as well. You see, it was revealed that the editorial page staffers of the Post had already drafted an endorsement, and it was for Kamala Harris. I guess our earlier suspicion has been confirmed. An editorial for endorsement often takes weeks of planning before it is released. The staff of the Post already had a draft for the endorsement. Why was the endorsement pulled in under 24 hours after Blue Origin met with Trump? Why was it pulled barely 12 days before the election? And there's more. The article also revealed that the decision was made by just Jeff Bezos. Everyone had to follow it. Not everyone helped in the decision making. If you weren't aware, Trump doesn't like Bezos. When he was president, he was very critical of both Bezos and the Post. Coupled with the fact that the Post endorsed Trump's opponents twice, you can see why this gets even stranger. Did you know that Amazon sued the Pentagon and Trump in 2019? Amazon claimed that it lost a $10 billion cloud computing contract because Trump used pressure to harm Bezos, who he perceived as his political enemy. So why now? Why is he suddenly refusing to endorse Kamala? Many have said that it is because Trump may win and Bezos wants to be on the winning side. Well, executives at the Post were not having it. As soon as this decision was made, the Post editor-at-large, Robert Kagan, resigned. Kagan worked at the Post for 20 years and suddenly quit because he dislikes Trump and his tendency to lean towards an authoritarian form of government. In 2023, Kagan was worried about Trump's political influence on the media. He said media owners will discover that a hostile and unbridled president can make their lives unpleasant in all sorts of ways. Now that this danger he talked about seems to be manifesting, he refused to remain in a position where he would have to bend to Trump. Robert Kagan was on CNN to talk about why he resigned. He didn't hesitate to talk about why it was an easy decision to make. While talking with CNN's Aaron Burnett, Kagan said this decision was an effort by Bezos to curry favor with Trump if he wins the elections. Kagan reminded the public that Trump had threatened Bezos with his business in the past. He also called attention to something else. It is only in the race between Harris and Trump that the Post decided not to endorse a candidate. The Post endorsed multiple Democratic nominees in the gubernatorial elections. He called it absurd, saying that anyone with knowledge of the situation would know what is going on. Will Lewis said in the official statement that this was the Post's way of going back to its roots. He said, "We see it as consistent with the values the Post has always stood for and what we hope for in a leader: character and courage and service to the American ethics, veneration for the rule of law, and respect for human freedom in all its aspects. Between you and me, Trump's actions haven't exactly followed this pattern." And to Robert Kagan, he says that is a load of garbage, a lot of kabuki. Kagan said the Post editorial page had been talking about why Trump is not only the wrong candidate, but also a threat to democracy for 8 years. Another person who quit the Post was the executive editor, Marty Baron. He also refused to be quiet about the issue and took to X to voice out his disgust. In a post on X, he wrote, "This is cowardice, with democracy as its casualty. Donald Trump will see this as an invitation to further intimidate owner Jeff Bezos and others, disturbing spinelessness at an institution famed for courage." When commenting on the issue, Sewell Chan from Columbia Journalism Review said that there might be some truth about this, but that whether Bezos used this decision to save his business from Trump's threat, it is not looking good for the Post at all. Many people see this decision as Bezos caving to political pressure because the timing is too suspicious. I mean, if this had been done a year or 6 months ago, the Post would not be catching as much heat as they are doing now. Suddenly, saying that they are trusting in the independence of the readers after 36 years of endorsing candidates sounds like there's no transparency. This is something that should be alien to the media and the world of news coverage. Secrecy is a tactic by businessmen, not newspapers. This particular tactic is what is enraging everybody involved in this situation. Quick question, are you one of them? Jeff Bezos is defending his newspaper's decision. He said the move will improve credibility. Pretty ironic, right? With everything that former employees and editorial staff have said, I don't think that the goal of this decision is credibility. Bezos argued in an op-ed posted on the Post website on the 28th of October that the decision was the right thing to do. He said that the presidential endorsements created the perception of bias, but did not tip the scales of the election. Do you believe this? He said no undecided voters in Pennsylvania are going to say, I'm going with newspaper A's endorsement. None. What presidential endorsements actually do is create a perception of bias, a perception of non-independence. Ending them is a principled decision, and it's the right one. Does this not seem like Bezos is bending to the big bad bully Trump? I mean, it has to be considered phony that a major newspaper owner would say that no one would vote for a candidate just because the biggest newspaper in America said so. I don't believe it. Billionaires and bigwigs are suddenly bending to Trump's will for fear of business losses. The takeaway question here is, what does that mean for the free will of the American public and media?